God says, "A huge sum has been assigned to you. Open this now or it will disappear forever." Money prayer. My beloved child, do not scroll away from this moment, for it is no accident you are here. I am speaking to you now because heaven has already moved on your behalf. In less time than you imagine, a deposit will arrive so significant it marks the end of your financial wilderness. This is not merely currency, but a sign that the season of scraping by and asking, "How will I make it?" is over. Hear me. This is your turning point, your divine rescue, your season of unprecedented favor. I have known you since before your first breath, before your name was even spoken on earth. I have seen the quiet tears you hid, the prayers too heavy for words, the nights you pressed on though your heart felt like it might break. When you felt invisible, I held you together. When you thought you were alone, I stood beside you, catching every tear and recording every cry in the book of remembrance. And now those records have been opened and the decree has been sealed. Today I declare your struggle ends and your story changes. Before the courts of heaven and in the presence of the angelic host, I speak life into your situation. Every lie that told you were forgotten, every whisper that said you were overlooked is silenced. Now I, your God, have taken up my pen and am rewriting your destiny with my own hand, and it will take only one touch for me to change everything. What I release into your life will not only answer prayer, but will astonish those who doubted you. I am the God of abundance, not scarcity. My blessings are not measured in the world's small portions, but are poured out, pressed down, shaken together, and running over so that your cup overflows into the lives of others. I see the faith you guarded in the waiting. You kept believing when doors stayed shut, when warmth faded around you, and when hope felt distant. I have appointed angels to surround you, to fight battles you cannot see, and to push back every shadow sent to hold you down. You are chosen, hand-picked by design, and I have sealed you with my mark. No power can strip away the blessing I have spoken over you. Even now a shift is breaking forth in your favor. And alongside that divine movement, you must steward what is coming. Use practical discernment. Honor what you receive, and act with responsibility. Write down your goals. Clear debts where you can. Seek wise counsel, and open your hands in generosity so blessing can multiply. Practice a focused money prayer that aligns your heart with heaven's purpose. And do not neglect the everyday work of learning, networking, and taking small, consistent steps. Spiritual promise without wise action can be wasted, and wise action without faith can feel empty. Do both. Remember also to give thanks loudly and often. Gratitude tunes your spirit to see doors you might otherwise miss. As Mother Teresa reminded us, be faithful in small things, because it is in them that your strength lies. And this season asks you for faithful smallness and brave receiving. I will name 2 scriptures for your voice to carry as you walk this path. Psalm 20, verse 1, and Matthew 6, verse 33. Speak them. Let them steady you, and let them guide your priorities. Let this be a practical moment as well as a prophetic one. Check your accounts. Plan a budget, reconnect with honest mentors, and set clear intentions for how the increase will be used to heal, to provide, and to bless others. Use a simple money prayer each morning to stay aligned. Ask to attract money not for greed, but for provision, purpose, and the ability to pour out to others, and repeat it as a steady discipline that opens both your heart and your opportunities. Do not fall back into fear when tests come. Tests often prove what is real and prepare you for greater responsibility. Hold fast to faith, act with wisdom, and watch as that one touch rearranges your life. What was once lack becomes abundance, What was once doubt becomes testimony, and what was once a closed season becomes a harvest that glorifies the one who remembered you when no one else did. Trust this word, steward what comes, and walk forward in the bold, steady assurance that your story is being rewritten for good. You are reading these words because your spirit already knows this voice. And here is the clear promise. Your miracle is not pending. It is already signed, sealed, and on its way to you. I am speaking directly to you because I want you to feel seen. Every tear you cried has watered the soil of miracles. Every quiet act of kindness and every choice to trust instead of fear has been recorded, and none of it has been wasted. The blessing prepared for you is so great that when your name was spoken in the courts of heaven, even the powers of darkness trembled. This is not just poetic language. It is a declaration that what comes next will transform far more than your bank account. I am opening the storehouses of heaven and pouring out so much that you will not have room enough to contain it. And this outpouring will bring restoration for seasons you thought were lost, honor for the years you were overlooked, and elevation so that God's glory shines through your story. Think about this: a neighbor who had very little but still gave food to the hungry, or a woman who forgave the one who betrayed her and kept praying faithfully. Suddenly, doors began to open. A job arrived at the right moment. Reconciliation took place, or a small loan became the seed for a stable future. That is a living God story, a reminder that faithful seeds and a consistent prayer for financial miracle truly move heaven. So now ask yourself, when this harvest comes, how will you handle it? Will you use it only for yourself, or will you become a vessel to bless others? How will you let your story testify to the faith that carried you through the darkest nights? These open-ended questions are not just reflection. They are the bridge from wishing to wise receiving. Do not measure this blessing by your bank account alone. Financial provision is only the visible sign of something greater, the covenant promise of God to care for you, to prosper you, and to position you in places you never thought you would stand. Where your strength ended, His strength began. What looked like setbacks were detours guiding you to this very moment. This is your exodus from struggle into freedom. Your ashes will be exchanged for beauty, your mourning for dancing, your lack for overflow. And nothing and no one can stop what God has ordained. Hold on to these two scriptures as anchors for your heart, Psalm 20, verse 1, and Matthew 6, verse 33. Let them guide your prayers, your faith, and your priorities as you walk forward. Now is the time to act with wisdom. Practice gratitude daily so your heart stays humble. Create a clear plan for financial stewardship so blessings multiply instead of slipping away. And continue living with generosity, because generosity is the engine that keeps abundance flowing. This is also how you attract abundance into your life, by being faithful with what you have and using it to uplift others. Chains that held you for years are being broken. Voices that spoke against your future are being silenced. The blessing being released is unstoppable and will manifest in ways that leave no doubt it came from God. If you have asked, why me? Stop asking why and start asking, how will I use this to serve? That shift in perspective is where true purpose begins. So here are your lessons to carry with you. 1. Keep faith and patience even when timing confuses you. 2. Manage every gift with wisdom and generosity, not fear. 3. Let your story become a testimony of hope so others know God still works miracles. Continue in your prayer for financial miracle. Keep your heart open to attract abundance. and prepare not just to receive, but to give. Stand firm, because your name has already been spoken. Your blessing has already been set in motion, and the only question left is how boldly will you step into it? God is saying that the blessing coming your way is not a reward for perfection, but for faithfulness. You were faithful in the small things, even when no one else noticed. You stayed honest when shortcuts could have given you quick results. You chose love when your heart was heavy with pain. You refused to let bitterness take root when betrayal knocked on your door. Every one of those decisions has been precious in God's sight. And now He is about to honor that faith openly. Doesn't it stir your heart to think that your quiet sacrifices are now being seen by heaven? Think of Abraham, who believed when every reason to hope seemed gone. Think of Joseph, who went from a prison cell to the palace in one single day. Remember David, the forgotten shepherd boy, whom God anointed as king. These are not just stories of the past. They are reminders that God still lifts the humble, still vindicates the faithful, and still turns sorrow into joy. And if He did it then, why would He not do it now? What if this is the very season when your story takes a sudden turn? The provision that is coming will not only meet your needs, it will overflow into the lives of others. You have wondered why you had to wait so long. But the waiting was never wasted. Every delay was shaping you, preparing you, and making space for greater glory. There are blessings stored up in heaven with your name written on them, and they are being released now, personally. I believe that what you're about to walk into is bigger than anything you've imagined, because God's timing is never late, it is perfect. The enemy tried to make you believe this day would never come, but God is saying your appointed time is now. This is the exchange, years of wandering traded for a season of establishment, fear replaced by confidence, lack replaced with abundance. Can you feel it? This is not just about receiving money or material gain. This is about stepping into freedom. Freedom in your mind, your relationships, your resources, and your heart. When you taste that freedom, you'll know it's not from your own effort, but from God's unshakable love. Doesn't that truth give you a sense of hope rising within? Scripture speaks powerfully into this moment. In Jeremiah 29, verse 11, God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." And in Psalm 20, verse 1, we are reminded, "May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you." These verses are not just words on a page, they are promises for you today. What would it look like if you believed them fully and acted as if they were already unfolding in your life? I will be honest with you. This season is not just about collecting blessings, it's about becoming a blessing. Every prayer you prayed, even the ones you thought were forgotten, have been seeds planted in the soil of your destiny. Those seeds are now breaking through the ground, and the harvest will be greater than you imagined. That's what abundance really means. It's not only about what you receive, but what you release into the world. This is also the heart of manifesting money. It is not a selfish grab, but a divine flow, meant to lift you and bless others through you. How would your life look if you embraced that reality and let your abundance ripple outward? Friend, I want you to feel the emotion of this relief from years of waiting. Gratitude for prayers answered, joy that fills your soul. I believe this is your season of breakthrough. Don't shrink back. Don't let fear whisper that you're not ready. Stand tall and receive it. Ask yourself today, what step can I take to prepare my hands and heart for the blessing that is about to overflow? This is your sacred moment, where God's promise collides with your destiny. Heaven has written this day for you, and now it is unfolding before your eyes. My economy does not bow to recession, shortage, or impossibility. Hear this as a promise meant for you. I supply all your needs according to my riches and glory, and I do so without limitation. The wealth that is on its way is only a glimpse of my abundance, and the greater gift is my favor, my presence that goes before you, opening doors no one can shut, and closing doors that would have harmed you. You are forgiven, redeemed, and restored. I see not your failures, but your faith. I remember the moments when you could have given up yet chose to believe. I remember the times you resisted shortcuts and chose integrity. I remember how you loved when it was hard. These are the treasures I have stored for you, and now I am returning them multiplied. Let me share a story so you can understand this deeply. A woman named Maria once prayed a simple prayer for financial miracle while holding her old Bible. She had lost work, hope, and even sleep, but she never stopped saying, "Not my will, but yours." Weeks later, an unexpected door opened. An old friend called with a new opportunity. What began as a small income grew into lasting provision. And more importantly, her spirit became strong enough to steward every blessing. This is what it looks like when you attract abundance by faith and patience. The same movement is being prepared for you. Helpers are being sent into your path. People anointed to support you, to open opportunities you could never reach alone, and to speak life over your dreams. You will receive wisdom to steward every blessing, discernment to protect what is entrusted to you, and courage to step into new territories without fear. This blessing will not only touch your bank account, it will break the chains of depression, fear, and insecurity that tried to keep you small. You will begin to see possibility where you once saw only limitation. I am breathing life into forgotten dreams and awakening promises you thought had expired. Do you wonder why I chose you? Because I saw your heart. I saw your faith when no one else believed in you. I saw your hunger for my presence when the world chased other things. I saw your longing for a breakthrough only I could bring. And because of that, I have moved heaven and earth to bring you to this very moment. Your story is shifting before your eyes. What seemed unmovable is moving. What felt impossible is bending to my will. What was once closed is opening in your favor. And when the world sees what I have done, they will know it was the hand of the living God. There will still be challenges ahead, but they will not defeat you. My presence will go before you into every situation, preparing the way even when you cannot see it. I will provide solutions before you know there is a problem. Every step you take, even the ones that feel uncertain, is guided by my wisdom and covered by my mercy. As you pray, pair your faith with action. A focused prayer for financial miracle means lifting up your requests while also planning wisely and being ready to receive. This is how you attract abundance, not by chasing endlessly, but by aligning your choices with honesty, discipline, and generosity. That is how favor multiplies. Take with you these two reminders from Scripture as anchors in your heart: Psalm 20, verse 1, and Matthew 6, verse 33. Let them call you back to trust when doubt tries to speak. So now I ask you, what step will you take today to prepare for the blessing that is coming your way? Reflect on it. Speak it aloud, and then act. The lessons are simple but powerful. Faith without action waits. Pair prayer with wise choices. Favor often arrives through people. Be open to connections. Integrity protects blessing. Guard what you receive with wisdom. Breakthrough heals more than finances. It restores peace and courage. Gratitude multiplies abundance. Thankful hands never stay empty. Listen carefully, you have not wasted a single moment of your life. Every detour taught you something useful. Every delay was a refining fire preparing you for a larger responsibility. And I want you to hear that as a clear, practical truth so you can act on it today. When bitterness has taken root, forgiveness is not an abstract virtue, but a daily discipline that frees your attention and your decisions. Forgive those who hurt you, so your energy is no longer spent refighting old battles. And then watch how new joy and healthy relationships fill the spaces you once hoarded for resentment. Your prayers are not lost or unheard. They rise like incense and are held before the throne. Treat your prayer life as attention and habit, not just a last resort. Set aside a brief, daily money prayer and gratitude ritual. Write one specific thank you note to God or to someone who helped you this week. And notice how your mind begins to look for opportunities instead of excuses. This blessing I speak of is broader than the balance in your account. It is soul freedom, clarity of purpose, daily peace that does not depend on headlines or markets. Be humble as you receive, because pride will close doors that gratitude opens. Gratitude is a practical key. Keep a short list each morning of 3 things you're thankful for, and let that list shape the choices you make with money and relationships. You have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Let that sound mind guide your finances with simple stewardship budget. Counsel with someone wiser, give where you can, and refuse panic-driven decisions. Practicing generosity is not a contradiction to financial wisdom. It trains your heart to steward abundance so that it does not stagnate. This abundance is meant to flow through you to heal, to encourage, and to build community. When you share your gain, you also enlarge your purpose. As Mother Teresa wrote, "It is not how much we do, but how much love we put in the doing, and that love converts provision into true fruit." Hold fast to patience in the waiting. Use the wait to sharpen skills, build relationships, and learn systems. The momentary delay is training for the responsibility you'll soon manage. Remember the promises you can speak aloud. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37, verse 4. Not as a magic formula, but as a reminder that alignment with what is good shapes desire and opens doors. And when anxiety creeps in, act on faith with a plan. Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. 1 Peter 5, verse 7. Then take the next practical step toward clarity, whether that's making a phone call, seeing a financial counselor, or simplifying your life to reduce expense. Your blessing will not end with you. It is designed to cascade. When you lift others, you multiply what you were given. This is how true wealth grows. Do not let this be merely poetic encouragement. Mark this day in your heart as the moment you stopped shrinking back. Decide on one concrete thing to do this week that moves you toward stewardship and service. Make a budget. Start a short money prayer each morning, or commit to giving a small portion away. Trust the covenant-level promise that no earthly power can overturn what has been decreed for your life. And move forward with courage, not recklessness. Courage paired with prudence secures blessings for the long term. Use modern tools, automatic savings, a trusted advisor, online courses to increase your skill set, and combine them with spiritual practices so you integrate faith and work. If you want a guiding line to come back to, remember the simple truth quoted by someone wiser than most of us: true abundance becomes evident when what you have begins to serve others. Say the short prayer. Practice daily gratitude. Tend your relationships. Make wise financial choices. And keep your heart open to give. With these steps, you will both receive and become the channel through which blessing reaches others. This is not only about getting money. This is about transforming your life so that money supports your calling. Money prayer and the habit to attract money woven into a life of service will change how opportunities find you. And when they come, you will be ready. Beloved one, listen closely, for this word is not coincidence but appointment. The hand of heaven has inscribed your name in the book of increase, and the angels are moving even now to bring into alignment what once seemed scattered beyond repair. You have thought at times, perhaps I missed my chance. Perhaps too many years have passed. Perhaps I will always live in this struggle. But I tell you with certainty, delay is not denial, and what you believed was wasted time has been preparation. The wilderness was never meant to punish you, but to shape you. And in shaping you, it has prepared the ground for the miracle you are about to walk into. Consider the story of the Israelites. For 40 years they wandered, not because God had forgotten them, but because He was forming them into a people who could handle the promise. The promised land was not simply about milk and honey. It was about responsibility, stewardship, and testimony. The same is true for you. The sum that has been assigned to you is not only to cancel debts or provide comfort, but to establish you as a witness that God's economy is greater than any market downturn, recession, or loss. Do you see it? Your miracle is not just money. It is purpose clothed in provision. Think of Joseph, sold into slavery, falsely accused, locked in prison. And yet at the appointed time, he was lifted into the palace, not just for his own rescue, but to provide grain for nations. What if your current waiting is the final hallway before your elevation? What if the very skills you learned under pressure, patience, humility, resilience, are the tools you will now use to manage abundance? Joseph's story reminds us that sometimes the pit is the prelude to the palace, and what feels like rejection is divine redirection. I want you to remember this truth: money without wisdom evaporates, but money with purpose multiplies. That is why the Spirit is teaching you now to pause, to breathe, to plan, and to pray. Abundance is not a sprint, it is a flow. It is a river meant to run through your life, refreshing not only you but all who drink from its streams. If you hoard it, it stagnates. If you release it with discernment, it renews. The blessing you are about to receive will test you. Will you hold it tightly out of fear, or will you steward it with open hands and a faithful heart? Scripture says in Proverbs chapter 11, verse 25, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." Let this be written on your heart, for your prosperity is not sealed in keeping but in giving. And giving is not always grand. It begins with the small, a kind word, a helping hand, a faithful tithe, a small gift to someone in need. These are the seeds that multiply in ways you cannot predict. You might ask, but what if I give and I am left with nothing? To this I remind you of the widow of Zarephath in 1 Kings chapter 17. She had only a handful of flour and a little oil, enough for one last meal. Yet when the prophet Elijah asked her to make a small cake first for him, she obeyed. And the jar of flour did not run dry, nor did the jug of oil run empty until the famine ended. The principle is this: obedience activates overflow. Generosity and scarcity unlocks abundance in due season. Pause and breathe this in. You are not forgotten. Your prayers are not lost in the air. They have been caught, like incense rising, and they linger before the throne. Heaven's timing is not rushed, yet it is never late. If the release comes now, it is because the soil of your life is finally ready to sustain the harvest. You would not pour fine wine into a cracked jar. It would be wasted. In the same way, God has been mending the cracks in your faith, in your patience, in your endurance, so that when the outpouring comes, not a drop will be lost. Now let me speak practically to you. Do not despise discipline. Write down your financial goals, not only what you wish to gain, but how you will use it. Will you set aside savings for security? Will you cancel debts to breathe freely again? Will you sow into ministries or charities that extend God's love? A written vision is a guarded vision. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 says, "Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it." Write your financial vision and let it anchor your choices. At the same time, train your eyes to see opportunity. Opportunity is often disguised as work, as responsibility, as small doors. Do not wait only for the big check or the one-time miracle. Often God sends provision through relationships, ideas, and small streams that merge into rivers. Stay alert. Be willing to learn a new skill, to connect with someone unexpected, to say yes to a project that stretches you. Miracles are not always about money falling from heaven. They are about favor opening doors that no man can shut. I urge you also guard your heart from comparison. Nothing steals joy faster than measuring your blessing against another's. You might say, why did they receive sooner? Why is their portion larger, but each story is unique, each calling distinct? Your assigned sum is tailored to your destiny. What another carries may crush you, and what you are about to carry may not suit them. Walk your lane with gratitude, and comparison will lose its grip. Friend, if you could see the heavenly scroll, you would know this. Your name is not written in pencil, but in ink. The decree over your life cannot be erased by the hand of man. Psalm chapter 37, verse 4 says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." Do not mistake this for a blank check. It is a covenant. As you align your desires with His will, the desires of your heart become the very desires He planted, and those desires He fulfills. I want you to hold on to this image, a seed underground. For months it appears lifeless, hidden, forgotten. Yet in the dark, it is breaking open, roots forming, life stirring. Then, suddenly, a shoot pierces the soil, visible at last. This is your season. You have been underground, unseen, but not dead, germinating. The financial blessing is not just the sprout, it is the fruit of all that hidden growth. Do not underestimate what has been happening in the soil of your soul. As we continue, let me ask you, what is one practical step you can take this week to prepare for the increase? Is it opening a new account? Creating a budget? Forgiving someone so your heart is lighter? Or simply setting aside 10 minutes a day for gratitude? Small steps invite great shifts. When you act, you show heaven you are ready.